Dr. Emma Harper's coffee had gone cold again. She barely noticed, her eyes fixed on the quantum detection readings scrolling across her holographic display. The Sierra Nevada Deep Space Array's control room hummed with the usual midnight symphony of cooling fans and computer processes, but something felt different tonight. The quantum signatures weren't following their usual patterns. "Hey Marcus, are you seeing this variance in Array 7? She called out to her assistant, who was half asleep at his station. The young physicist jerked awake, adjusting his glasses as he peered at his own display. "Probably another cosmic ray burst," he mumbled, but his fingers were already dancing across the haptic interface. "Wait, this is weird." Emma nodded, her exhaustion forgotten. The signal they were detecting wasn't random noise. It had structure, rhythm, almost like. "It's pulsing like a heartbeat," she whispered, more to herself than to Marcus. The quantum detection algorithm she'd developed was supposed to search for signs of artificial manipulation in the quantum field. Evidence that other civilizations might be experimenting with quantum communication like humanity had recently achieved. But this was different. The signal carried a pattern that seemed almost organic, as if someone had found a way to inject emotion into quantum mechanics itself. Running it through the new decoder, Marcus announced, his voice now fully alert. "These patterns, they're not just organized, they're repeating with variations, almost like language," Emma finished. Her heart was racing. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, she'd learned to temper her excitement. False positives were common. But this felt different. The main display lit up with the first decoded fragments. Emma leaned forward, her blue eyes reflecting the scrolling data. The translation matrix she designed began assembling meaning from the quantum pulses, each beat revealing more. Then she saw it. 3 words that made her blood run cold. "They are coming. Marcus, it Director Sullivan. Now." Her voice was steady, masking the tremor she felt inside. As Marcus scrambled for the comms, Emma noticed something else. More signals, dozens of them, appearing at different points in space. Each one carried the same rhythmic pulse, the same frightened heartbeat. "High D." The word appeared just as Director Sullivan's heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. Emma was already compiling the data, her mind racing ahead to the implications. The signals weren't just messages. They were warnings. And they were going silent, one by one, like stars being snuffed out. "Dr. Harper, this better be." Sullivan stopped mid-sentence as he saw the main display. His usual skepticism evaporated as he watched another signal disappear from the quantum field. "It's not just one civilization," Emma explained, her voice tight with controlled urgency. "These are multiple species, all broadcasting on quantum frequencies, and something is silencing them, systematically, moving through space in a clear pattern." She pulled up a 3D map of the detected signals. Red dots showed the silent ones, green the still active. The pattern was unmistakable. Whatever was causing this was moving toward Earth. "How long?" Sullivan asked, his weathered face pale in the blue light of the displays. Emma's fingers flew across the interface, calculating distances and velocities based on the pattern of disappearing signals. If they maintained their current speed, 18 months, maybe less. The control room fell silent except for the soft beeping of another signal going dark. Emma thought about humanity's achievement just 6 months ago, their first successful quantum communication network. They'd celebrated it as a triumph, a step toward the stars. Now she wondered if they'd inadvertently sent up a flare in a dark ocean full of predators. "Director," she said, her voice steadier than she felt, "we need to contact the Joint Chiefs. Whatever's coming, we need to be ready." As if in response, another signal appeared, stronger than the others. This one carried more than just warning. It carried coordinates, somewhere in the Nevada desert, less than 100 miles from their facility. And it was getting closer. The desert night shattered with a sound like breaking reality. Emma gripped her seat as the military helicopter banked sharply, giving her a clear view of the impact site. What had appeared on radar as a small craft had torn a half-mile scar across the Nevada landscape, crystalline structures sprouting from the earth in its wake like frozen lightning. ETA 2 minutes. The pilot shouted over the comms. Be advised, we're getting some weird energy readings from the crash site. Colonel Richards, seated across from Emma, checked his tactical display. Nothing like any radiation we've seen before. Dr. Harper, any similarity to your quantum signatures? Similar but far more intense, Emma replied, studying the readings on her tablet. It's as if the ship isn't just using quantum fields, it's actively manipulating local space-time. The helicopter touched down a safe distance from the crash site. Teams in hazmat suits were already establishing a perimeter, their equipment sparking and failing as they got closer to the crystalline formation. The desert air shimmered with an otherworldly aurora, quantum effects becoming visible to the naked eye. Emma followed the colonel, her specialized quantum detector clutched tightly. As they approached, she felt a strange resonance, like a tuning fork being struck inside her mind. There's something alive in there, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The quantum field, it's pulsing like the warning signal. The crystalline structure had formed a sort of cocoon around the ship's remains. As they watched, it began to change color, shifting from opaque white to a translucent blue. Through the crystal walls, they could see movement. Everyone back, Colonel Richards ordered, but Emma stood transfixed. The resonance in her mind was becoming clearer, taking shape into help, please. They follow. It's trying to communicate, Emma gasped. Colonel, we need to. The crystal cocoon shattered, not explosively, but like ice melting in fast forward. In its center stood a being that defied human comprehension, a humanoid figure composed of living crystal, light pulsing through its transparent form like blood through veins. Military personnel raised their weapons, but Emma stepped forward. The being, somehow she knew it called itself Nexus, reached out with a crystalline hand. Where their fingers met, Emma's world exploded into visions. She saw worlds burning, not with fire, but with a terrible darkness that consumed quantum fields like a hungry void. She saw vast fleets of biomechanical ships, each larger than cities, systematically hunting down civilizations that dared to reach into the quantum realm. She felt the terror of countless species as they tried to hide, try to run, try to fight, all failing. The Voraks, she whispered, the name coming to her through the connection. They're the ones sending everyone into hiding. Yes, Nexus communicated directly into her mind. They come. They always come. Your quantum experiments. They heard you. Like they heard us. Like they heard so many others. Through their connection, Emma witnessed the fall of Nexus's homeworld. A civilization that had achieved quantum synthesis, melding technology and consciousness into crystalline forms that could surf the quantum foam of space itself. The Voraks had arrived without warning, their weapons not destroying the planet, but rather erasing its quantum signature from existence, a death more complete than mere physical destruction. How? Emma struggled to form words as the visions continued to flood her mind. How did you escape? Some of us knew they were coming. Prepared. Hid our signatures. Scattered. Warned others. But they hunt. Always hunt. Never stop. Colonel Richards's voice seemed to come from far away. Dr. Harper, what's it saying? Emma turned to face him, her eyes glowing faintly with residual quantum energy. It's saying we have less time than we thought. The Voraks. They're not just coming. They're already here. That ship we detected at the edge of the solar system. It's a scout. Through their maintained connection, Nexus shared one final vision. The Voraks fleet, vast beyond comprehension, already moving toward Earth. But there was something else, a possibility that Nexus people had discovered too late. Your quantum network, Nexus communicated. Different. New. Maybe hope. Emma nodded, her scientific mind already racing ahead to possibilities. Then we better get to work. because I'm not letting Earth go quietly into the dark." The war room beneath the Pentagon hummed with contained chaos. 3 months had passed since Nexus's arrival, and humanity had not wasted a single day. Emma stood before the holographic display, her hand steady despite her exhaustion, as she manipulated the quantum field projections. "The Vorax scout ship has completed its solar system survey," she reported to the assembled Joint Chiefs and world leaders. "Based on Nexus's intelligence, we estimate the main fleet will arrive in less than 4 months." President Chen leaned forward, her face illuminated by the holographic models. "And the shelters?" General Martinez stepped up, his uniform crisp despite the late hour. "Underground city construction is proceeding ahead of schedule. The old missile silos and mining complexes have given us a head start. We can house roughly 30% of the global population now, with capacity increasing weekly." Emma shared a glance with Nexus, who stood crystalline and silent in the corner. Through their quantum link, she felt the being's mixture of hope and concern. Earth's preparation was unprecedented. No other civilization had mounted such a coordinated response. "That's not enough," Emma said, bringing up a new display. "The Vorax don't just destroy surface structures. They erase quantum signatures. Even underground traditional shelters won't protect us." "But," she paused, making sure she had everyone's attention, "we might have found something they've never encountered before." She nodded to Dr. Patel, her colleague from the Quantum Communication Initiative. He activated their prototype, and the room's lights flickered as a new kind of quantum field sprang to life. "Our quantum network is different from anything Nexus has seen," Emma continued. "Other civilizations used quantum fields for communication or computation. We've been experimenting with something new: quantum resonance harmonics." Through their link, Nexus added its own knowledge, which Emma translated. "The Vorax weapons work by creating quantum nullification fields. They expect resistance in the form of shields or counterattacks. But what if we didn't resist? What if we amplified instead?" President Chen's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Emma manipulated the prototype field, creating a complex pattern of quantum interference. "Think of it like noise-canceling headphones in reverse. Instead of canceling the Vorax quantum nullification, we synchronize with it, but add our own harmonics. Their weapon expects to find and erase quantum signatures. We'll give them so many, so fast, in such complex patterns that their targeting systems will be overwhelmed." "A quantum DDoS attack," Dr. Patil added with a slight smile. "Very human of us." General Martinez studied the projections. "How do we implement this globally?" "We repurpose the shelter construction," Emma said. "Each underground city becomes a node in a worldwide quantum resonance network. The Vorax will try to erase our quantum signature, but instead of finding a single civilization's pattern, they'll encounter a symphony." Through their link, Nexus conveyed its amazement. No species had ever considered using quantum fields this way. They had always tried to hide their signatures or defend them. Only humans would think to turn them into a weapon by making them impossibly loud. The next hours were a blur of logistics and planning. As the meeting concluded, President Chen pulled Emma aside. "Dr. Harper, I need your honest assessment. Will this work?" Emma felt Nexus's presence in her mind, its memories of countless civilizations that had fallen to the Vorax. But she also felt something else: genuine hope. "The Vorax are powerful because they're predictable," she said. "They've been hunting quantum signatures the same way for millennia. They find them, they erase them, they move on. But they've never encountered a species that embraced quantum physics quite like we have. We don't just use it, we play with it." She gestured to the prototype, where intricate quantum patterns danced like aurora borealis. "We're turning our entire planet into an instrument, Madam President, and when the Vorax arrive, we're going to play them a song they've never heard before." As if in response, the quantum field hummed a perfect note, its harmonics rippling through reality itself. Above them, hidden in the night sky, The Vorax scout ship detected the signal and began its final transmission to the approaching fleet. Earth was doing something new, something unexpected, something that made the scout's quantum sensors resonate with an unfamiliar pattern. Something that felt almost like music. The first Vorax dreadnought emerged from quantum space like a tear in reality itself. Emma watched from the central command hub deep beneath the Rocky Mountains as the massive ship, larger than Manhattan, took position above Earth's atmosphere. Through her quantum link with Nexus, she felt the crystalline being's mixture of terror and awe. "They're earlier than we expected," General Martinez said, his voice tight. "The rest of their fleet. 17 minutes out," Emma replied, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. "But we're ready. All global nodes are synchronized." Around the world, the underground cities hummed with quantum energy. Each shelter had become part of humanity's desperate symphony, their quantum signatures building into something unprecedented. Teams of musicians, mathematicians, and quantum physicists worked in concert, preparing for what Emma had dubbed Operation Overture. The main display showed more Vorax ships appearing, dozens, then hundreds. Their black hulls seemed to absorb light itself, their quantum nullification fields already beginning to probe Earth's defenses. "They're scanning us," Emma announced, looking for the standard resistance patterns. Through Nexus, she felt the Vorax's cold confidence, their certainty born of countless successful extinctions. Now, she activated the quantum network. But instead of defensive shields or desperate attempts to hide their signature, Earth began to sing. The first movement came from Asia, where centuries-old musical traditions have been translated into quantum harmonics. Chinese opera merged with Indian ragas, creating patterns in space-time that made the Vorax sensors stutter in confusion. "Western nodes, you're up," Dr. Patel called out. European classical music joined the quantum symphony. Bach's mathematical precision, Mozart's playful complexity, and Beethoven's raw emotion, all converted into quantum frequencies that danced through the Vorax nullification, fields like sunlight through stained glass. "They're trying to adapt," Emma reported, feeling the Vorax's mounting confusion through Nexus. African and South American nodes, go. Tribal drums and Amazon rainforest rhythms pulsed through the quantum field. The Vorax weapons, designed to erase simple quantum signatures, encountered patterns that shifted and evolved like living things. Their targeting systems, faced with quantum mathematics that moved like dance, began to fail. "What's happening to their ships?" General Martinez asked, pointing to the display where the Vorax fleet seemed to shudder. Emma smiled. "They're listening." Through Nexus, she felt the impact of Earth's message. The Vorax had expected to find another primitive quantum signature to erase. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by a symphony of human consciousness. Art and science merged into something that defied their millennia of experience. Middle Eastern nodes, launcher sequence. Ancient Sufi mysticism and modern quantum theory interwove in impossible patterns. Jewish cantorial melodies harmonized with Islamic geometric mathematics, creating quantum signatures that weren't just communications, they were expressions of the human soul. In the Vorax fleet, something extraordinary began to happen. Ships that had participated in countless extinctions found their quantum nullification fields resonating with Earth's broadcast. The signatures they were supposed to erase were instead teaching them new ways to see reality itself. "Final phase," Emma announced. Everyone together. The underground cities, sheltering billions of humans, released their combined quantum expression. Every human art form, every scientific discovery, every cultural achievement, all translated into a language that transcended normal space and time. Earth wasn't just resisting extinction, it was sharing its very essence with the cosmos. Through their link, Nexus conveyed something unprecedented. The Vorax were experiencing emotion. Their rigid, extinction-driven existence encountered something they'd never imagined, a species that turned quantum physics into art, that faced annihilation with creativity instead of fear. "Look," Dr. Patel pointed to new quantum signatures appearing in space. Other civilizations. They're joining in. Emma felt tears in her eyes as she watched the displays. From hiding places across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear of the Vorax were adding their own voices to Earth's symphony. The quantum spectrum filled with alien art, mathematics, and consciousness, all harmonizing with humanity's broadcast. They're not just listening anymore, Emma whispered, feeling the change through Nexus. They're learning to sing. Above Earth, the Vorax fleet hung motionless, their quantum nullification fields transformed into receivers for the greatest concert the galaxy had ever known. The first mutiny started on a Vorax dreadnought called Night's End. Emma watched through Nexus's quantum perception as a crystalline engineer, part of a slave race similar to Nexus's people, heard Bach's toccata and fugue, translated into quantum harmonics. In that moment, generations of genetic conditioning shattered like glass. "We're getting unusual energy readings from the enemy fleet," Dr. Patel reported, his eyes fixed on the quantum monitors. "Their formation is breaking down." Through her link with Nexus, Emma felt the cascade of awakenings spreading through the Vorax armada. "It's not breaking down," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "It's waking up." The slave races aboard the Vorax ships, beings of crystal, energy, and forms humanity had no words for, were experiencing something their masters had denied them for millennia. Culture. Earth's quantum broadcast wasn't just music and art. It was permission to remember who they were. "Multiple ships are powering down their nullification fields," General Martinez announced. "Are they preparing to attack?" Emma shook her head, feeling the truth through Nexus. "They're choosing to listen." On the main display, they watched as Night's End's quantum signature changed. Instead of the cold, uniform pattern of Vorax technology, it began to pulse with its own rhythm. The long-forgotten songs of its crystalline crew merging with Earth's symphony. "More ships are changing signatures," Dr. Patel reported excitedly. "It's spreading like a quantum chain reaction." Through Nexus, Emma witnessed the revolution unfolding in 4 dimensions. A Vorax weapons officer heard a Chinese opera and remembered her species' ancient-like sculptures. A biomechanical navigator encountered African drums that resonated with his people's lost heartbeat. Ship by ship, the rigid structure of the Vorax fleet dissolved into chaos. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. It's from Night's End." The quantum broadcast carried more than words. It carried memories. The crystalline engineer, now free of conditioning, shared visions of his people's history. They had been artists once, crafting songs from starlight. The Vorax hadn't just enslaved them. They had made them forget they were ever anything else. "The Vorax ships are dividing into factions," General Martinez observed, pointing to the tactical display. Some vessels maintained their threatening posture, while others were actively moving to protect Earth from their former masters. Emma felt a new presence in the quantum field. Ancient, cold, and finally, uncertain. The Vorax themselves were responding, not with weapons, but with confusion. Their perfectly ordered universe was dissolving around them. "They're trying to reestablish control," Emma reported, monitoring the quantum frequencies. "But they can't counter this kind of resistance. You can't nullify an awakening." Through their link, Nexus shared a revelation. The Vorax never expected this. They prepared for violence, for defiance, for fear, but not for beauty, not for art, not for the reminder of what was lost. The quantum symphony reached a crescendo as more slave races broke free. Ships that had been instruments of extinction became stages for rebellion. The cold mathematics of conquest gave way to the chaotic beauty of revolution. "Dr. Harper," President Chen's voice came through the command channel. "The UN Security Council is asking, what exactly are we witnessing?" Emma watched as Night's End began broadcasting its own quantum patterns, its crystalline crew combining their ancient arts with human music. Other ships followed, each adding their own long-buried voices to the growing chorus. "We're witnessing the power of human creativity," she answered. "We didn't just show them how to resist. We reminded them why resistance matters. Every song, every piece of art, every cultural expression we broadcast showed them something the Vorax could never erase. The beauty of being alive." Above Earth, the Vorax fleet had transformed from a unified force of extinction into a swirling dance of awakening consciousness. Ships moved like dancers in a ballet of rebellion, their quantum signatures painting new constellations across space. "And now?" General Martinez asked, watching the display with a mixture of hope and caution. Emma shared a knowing look with Nexus. "Now we learn their songs, and they learn ours. The galaxy is about to remember how to sing." The quantum field erupted with new signatures as ships emerged from fold space around Earth's orbit. Emma's quantum interface lit up like a Christmas tree, each signal carrying the distinctive patterns of a different civilization coming out of hiding. "Are they friendly?" General Martinez asked, his hand hovering over the defense protocols. Emma closed her eyes, letting Nexus help her interpret the cascade of quantum signatures. They're all survivors, species that escaped the Vorax. They'd been watching our broadcast, and now... She paused, overwhelmed by the incoming signals. "They're offering to help." A holographic projection filled the command center, showing the space around Earth transformed into a glittering ballet of ships. Some were organic, grown rather than built. Others were pure energy given form. Each carried the quantum echoes of cultures that had been forced into silence for millennia. First contact just went from one species to 57. Dr. Patil announced, his voice filled with academic excitement. "No, 63, 71. Through their link, Nexus conveyed a surge of joy. They remember. They all remember. The remaining loyal Vorax ships, still commanding nearly half the extinction fleet, began to form up for a final assault. But now they faced something unprecedented. A united front of their former prey. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer reported. "It's being broadcast on all quantum frequencies." A figure appeared on the main screen, a being of pure light and geometric patterns that Emma somehow knew was the leader of a species called the Lumini. Its quantum voice translated directly into human consciousness. "Children of Earth," it said, its thoughts carrying echoes of ancient music, "your courage has awakened us from our long hiding. The Vorax forced us to forget our songs, but you have reminded us how to sing. We offer our voices to your symphony." More transmissions followed. A species of living mathematics offered their computational powers. Energy beings who had hidden in the hearts of stars pledged their plasma weapons. Each brought not just military strength, but their own cultural quantum signatures to add to Earth's broadcast. "They're creating a quantum resonance network," Emma realized, watching the patterns form. "Like our global system, but on a galactic scale." Through Nexus, she felt the remaining Vorax recoil as their former victims united. Ships that had once fled from them now advanced, their quantum signatures harmonizing with Earth's defiant broadcast. "Dr. Harper," President Chen's voice carried urgency. "They're asking for Earth to coordinate the defense. They say our quantum harmonic techniques are the key." Emma looked at the tactical display, where the loyal Vorax ships were preparing their nullification weapons. The combined fleet of former prey species waited, their quantum signatures hovering between memory and possibility. "Send them the protocols for Operation Overture," she decided. "But tell them to add their own voices. This isn't Earth's song anymore. It's the galaxy's." The effect was immediate. The quantum field blazed with the combined artistic and scientific achievements of 71 civilizations. Each brought their own mathematical principles, their own artistic expressions, their own unique ways of viewing reality itself. The Lumini wove light into living poetry. The star-dwelling energy beings pulsed with solar symphonies. The mathematical species calculated harmony into existence. And through it all, Earth's original broadcast served as the foundation, the rhythm that bound it all together. "The Vorax fleet is moving," General Martinez reported. "They're launching their extinction protocols. But this time, The quantum nullification fields meant something new. Instead of simple signatures to erase, they encountered an ever-changing tapestry of consciousness. Every attempt to silence one voice was met with a chorus of others. "They can't target everything at once," Emma explained, watching the Vorax weapons fail. "You can't erase a song when the entire galaxy is singing it." Through their link, Nexus shared a vision of what was happening at the quantum level. The combined broadcast wasn't just art or science or defiance. It was evolution itself. Species that had been forced to forget their own nature were not just remembering. They were becoming something new together. The Vorax never understood, Emma said softly, watching their weapons fail. They thought quantum physics was just another force to control. They never realized it was always meant to be a conversation. Above Earth, 72 civilizations joined in that conversation, their combined voices rising into a symphony that would change the galaxy forever. The captured Vorax command ship hung in Earth's orbit like a black wound in space. Emma stood before its quantum core, her mind linked with Nexus as they prepared to interface with the ship's consciousness. Around them, a team of scientists from a dozen species monitored the procedure. "Are you sure about this?" General Martinez asked. "The ship's quantum signature is still active. It could be a trap." Emma nodded, feeling the ship's dormant awareness through her quantum connection. "The Vorax aren't just our enemies. They're part of this galaxy's story. We need to understand why." The Lumini representative, a being of geometric light, moved closer. "Our records show no successful integration with Vorax quantum systems. Their consciousness architecture is hostile." "That's because everyone tried to break in," Emma replied, her fingers tracing patterns in the quantum field. "We're going to knock." Through their link, Nexus added its own crystalline resonance to Emma's human consciousness. Together, they reached out to the ship's quantum core, not with force or technological intrusion, but with harmony, the same principles that had turned Earth's defense into a galaxy-wide revolution. The ship's systems responded, not with the expected resistance, but with something that felt almost like relief. Through the quantum interface, Emma and Nexus found themselves falling into the Vorax's ancestral memory. The vision hit them like a supernova, a world of impossible beauty, where quantum physics wasn't just a science but a way of life. The ancient Vorax, masters of quantum manipulation, had built a civilization that danced on the edge of reality itself. Their cities existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Their art formed and reformed across dimensional boundaries. Their music played with the strings of space-time. Then came the accident. "Oh God," Emma whispered, witnessing the moment through millennia-old quantum recordings. They weren't trying to destroy the galaxy. They were trying to save it. The Vorax's quantum experiments had torn a hole in reality, a cascade failure that threatened to unravel the fabric of space-time itself. Billions died in an instant as quantum states collapsed chaotically. The survivors, forever changed by the catastrophe, made a decision born of trauma and desperate responsibility. "They think they're preventing another collapse," Emma reported, her voice shaking. "Every civilization that begins quantum experiments, they see them as potential triggers. They're not exterminating species. They're trying to prevent what they see as inevitable destruction." Through their link, Nexus shared its own revelation. They became the monsters they feared to save others from becoming monsters at all. The quantum memory shifted, showing the evolution of the Vorax from victims to self-appointed guardians. Their art and culture had been sacrificed for a singular mission: prevent anyone from reaching the level of quantum manipulation that had doomed their world. But they're wrong, Emma realized, seeing the mathematical patterns that the ancient Vorax had missed. Our quantum harmonics, they're not just art. They're naturally stable. By spreading quantum effects across multiple consciousnesses, multiple cultures, we're actually preventing the kind of concentration that caused their disaster. The Lumini representative's light pulsed with understanding. They sought to silence the quantum realm when they should have been teaching others to use it safely, Emma finished. Their tragedy wasn't in reaching too far, it was in trying to bear the burden alone. Through the ship's systems, Emma broadcast this revelation to both fleets, the allied species and the remaining loyal Vorax ships. The quantum field carried not just information but understanding, letting every being experience the truth of the Vorax's ancient pain and misguided mission. The quantum realm isn't a weapon to be controlled or a force to be feared, Emma transmitted. It's a connection to be shared. Every voice we add makes the song more stable, not less. The Vorax tried to prevent catastrophe by imposing silence, but the real solution was always in teaching the galaxy to sing in harmony. Above Earth, the quantum field rippled with recognition as species after species, including many of the Vorax themselves, finally understood. The ancient tragedy had come full circle. What began with one civilization's solitary reach into quantum physics was ending with the galaxy learning to reach together. "We can help them," Emma said softly, feeling the Vorax's ancient pain begin to soften. "We can help them remember how to create instead of destroy." Through their link, Nexus shared a vision of possibility. Asterisk, perhaps that is why your species was meant to find its voice. Not to fight the silence, but to heal it. Asterisk. 3 months after the revelation of the Vorax truth, Earth's quantum network had evolved into something its creators had never imagined. Emma stood at the inauguration of the Galactic Harmonic Institute, watching as beings from across the cosmos gathered in the massive underground chamber that had once been meant as a shelter from extinction. "Did you ever think," Dr. Patel asked, adjusting the quantum resonance fields, "that our defense system would become a university?" Emma smiled, feeling the rich texture of hundreds of quantum signatures filling the space. Former Vorax engineers worked alongside their once enslaved crystalline assistants, teaching safe quantum manipulation techniques. Lumini light scholars danced with energy beings, their combined art creating patterns that stabilized local spacetime rather than threatening it. "The best defense turned out to be understanding," she replied. Through their permanent link, Nexus shared its joy at watching its crystalline people rediscover their artistic heritage. "We were all afraid of the same darkness," it communicated. "We just chose different ways to face it." The main quantum projection activated, and President Chen appeared before the assembled species. 3 months ago, humanity faced extinction. Today, we face something far more challenging: the responsibility of helping forge a new galactic culture. The chamber's quantum field hummed with agreement. Earth had become a nexus point, not because of its military strength or technological advancement, but because of its unique approach to quantum physics. Humans hadn't tried to master the quantum realm. They had invited it to dance. The Vorax's greatest fear, Emma addressed the gathering, was that quantum manipulation would destroy reality. Their tragedy became their crusade. But they forgot something essential. The universe isn't made of separate parts to be controlled. It's made of relationships to be understood. She gestured to the quantum displays where real-time harmonics from 1,000 worlds created ever-shifting patterns of impossible beauty. Each civilization added its own voice to the galactic quantum network, and each voice made the whole more stable, not less. A Vorax elder, their black quantum armor now inscribed with flowing artistic patterns, stepped forward. "We sought to prevent catastrophe by imposing silence," they acknowledged, their quantum signature resonating with ancient grief and new hope. "You showed us that safety lies not in separation, but in symphony." The gathered species witnessed something unprecedented: a Vorax attempting art for the first time in millennia. Their quantum manipulation, once used only for weapons, created a pattern of haunting beauty. It was tentative, unpracticed, but it carried the weight of transformation. Through the quantum network, similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Former Vorax extinction fleets were being transformed into exploration vessels, their quantum nullification technology repurposed to stabilize rather than destroy. Species emerged from hiding not into silence, but into a conversation that spanned the cosmos. The Institute's first task, Emma announced, will be to create a quantum library of all our combined knowledge and art, not just for preservation, but for evolution. Every voice adds new harmonics, new possibilities. Dr. Patil activated the central quantum core, and the chamber filled with a visualization of the growing galactic network. Points of light represented each civilization's quantum signature, linked not in hierarchy, but in harmony. Earth's pattern pulsed at one node, distinctive but not dominant. "We're not teachers," Emma continued, feeling Nexus's approval through their link. "We're students, just like everyone else. The quantum realm has infinite songs to share if we learn to listen together." The Vorax Elder's quantum pattern shifted, merging with a crystalline artist's creation. Ancient enemies became collaborators, their combined work more stable and beautiful than either could achieve alone. Around them, similar partnerships formed. Species that had hidden from each other, now reaching out through quantum harmonics to create something new. "This isn't an ending," Emma said softly, watching humanity's defensive symphony transform into a galactic chorus. "It's a first note." Above them, Earth's night sky had changed. The quantum network made visible what was always there, the living art of a galaxy learning to sing together. Humanity had spoken to space, yes, but more importantly, they had taught space how to speak back. Through their link, Nexus shared a final thought. Perhaps this is what the quantum realm was waiting for. Not mastery, not fear, but harmony. A galaxy that creates instead of controls. Emma nodded, feeling the truth in the ever-growing symphony around them. The darkness between stars was silent no more.